Hello there everybody and welcome. It's Jackie here from stampinjack.com. It is Wednesday the 13th of April and it is time for Facebook Live. I've made it. I had a bit of a panic because I sat down to watch a Star Wars movie with my son this afternoon, having had the day off. Completely forgot the time and at 20 to 8 just suddenly realised, oh my word, I'm supposed to be live in 20 minutes. So slight panic there, but I'm here. All's well. I've got some fun projects planned for you today. So if you're watching this, let me just see. I'm just going to double check make sure I'm live. That all looks good. So when you arrive, just leave me a comment below. Say hi. If you could share this video, that would be fantastic. If you're watching on the replay on YouTube, then if you could give it a thumbs up and also share the video, I'd really appreciate that. That would be fantastic. So last week we played with the floating element technique. Hi Diane, welcome. So this was just using up some scraps to create some fun floating elements using our acetate window sheets. Hi Lynn, welcome, thanks for sharing. So if you missed that last week, you can check it out either on my Facebook page or on YouTube. Last week I also did a video going through the annual catalogue and the items that are retiring at the end of this month, at the end of May. Yes, at the end of April. Now, as I mentioned at the time, a lot of these are while stocks last. I know a lot of them are selling out. I've made some recommendations for what my top picks were. And tonight I'm going to be playing with some of those top picks. I guess having a little last final fling with them before they're gone for good. But I'm also using, I've got a fun technique for you tonight, which is I'm going to make some, I've done fun fold cards before, but tonight's cards have got some fun flaps on them. So they're a little bit different to a normal fold. Hi Doreen, welcome. Thank you for sharing. That's great. I'm just going to do the same, so bear with me one moment. Let's just open that up. And here we go. Let's make sure I can see all the comments. That all looks good. Here we are. Diane, my host code says January. Yes, I do need to update that. I will do that tonight as soon as I've finished. Thank you for that. I meant to do that, but forgot. So I'll create a new host code and I'll post it here after on my Facebook page after the live video, so you've got it there. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's get started, shall we? So the first card, I'm going to be using the Stellar Birthday stamp set. Now, I love this stamp set. I don't do a lot of kids cards generally, as you know, but I just think this is so much fun. So I'm going to do, I think it's called a Joy Fold card. I think, but you'll see what I mean. So I've also used the Give It a Whirl dies. Now these are in the annual catalogue next to the Stellar Birthday set, but they're not, they don't match. And these aren't retiring, these are staying. So I'm going to do a live just using these dies on another session. But for tonight I'm going to do the Stellar Birthday. But what I've done is I've die cut a load of the little stitched stars that are included in that die set. And I've cut myself a piece of the New Horizons paper. I've mentioned before, this to me looks like a galaxy, so I thought that would be really good. So the basis of a Joy Fold is really simple. We've got basic black card base, so I've just got my normal card base sizes, which is 21 centimeters by 14.5. So I've got 2 of those. Just going to fold those in half. Okay. And the essence of a Joy Fold is basically one card goes inside the other and it opens like so. Okay, so what I'm going to do first of all is, this is one of my bases, so I'm just going to stick this paper down straight onto my card front. Okay. Now there's another piece that I cut for this, but I can't find it. So it must be somewhere on the table here. I'll have another look for it. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so that's that. And then where are my other pieces for this card? I think I'm going to do some heat embossing. So I've got my silver embossing powder. Now let's see if I can find my other pieces. Bear with me. They were here just a second ago. So they're here on the table somewhere. Famous last words. See if I've put any more other projects down on it. Okay, if I can't find it, then we will just cut the pieces again. Alright, so before I do that, I'm just going to do some stamping. So I've got a scrap of Whisper White here, and I know, Diane, this On the Horizons paper is just stunning. I love patterned paper. I hardly ever use it because I hate to cut into it, but I'm determined I'm going to use this one. And some of the cards you saw a few weeks ago that I made, they're just so easy with this. It's just, don't even have to do very much. Right, so I think I'm going to do some heat embossing first. So I'm going to use I've got my little stars and my little planets. Okay, and I want to start. Brain just stopped for a moment there. I want my little rocket as well. So I've got a few elements. So there's a few bits to this to just create the scene that I want, but it will all make sense in a moment. Okay, so we've got our rocket, our stars, and our planets. So my rocket, I'm going to stamp on my white. Okay, got a little bit of something on my page there. So I'm going to just stamp that like so. And then add my silver embossing powder to it. Here we go. And I'm also going to, I should have done this before I stuck it on, but we'll make it work. On here, just going to stamp, let's close that up. So I'm just going to bring my Versamark in, and I'm going to stamp my planets here. There we go. And I know I've die cut some stars, but I'm also going to just ink up some stars around the place. Okay. Because these might be a little on the large side, so we'll see how we go. Now I have to try and remember where I stamped everything. There we go. We'll just cover the whole piece. There we are. And then I'll put that back in my tub so I don't have an accident. Okay. Now let's bring in my heat tool. So as usual, this, we just let it heat up a little before we bring it to our paper. Okay, so let's just do our stars. Okay, so there we go. Then I'm going to heat emboss my rocket. There we are. Okay. Now, I might do a little bit more heat embossing in a bit, but this will do us for the moment. Alrighty, so now I'm going to do some die cutting whilst I let that cool down a little. And I'm going to need my big shot for this, so just grab it. Okie dokie. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a hole in my piece, my folding over piece. Okay, so I'm going to use, I've got two circle dies, I'm going to use the smaller of the two, and I want it, so this is going to be the front, I don't know if you can see that, so this is going to be the front, and I want it about 2/3 of the way up so that it catches this. Okay, so I should have done this piece first, but never mind, we'll make it work. And I need my other plate. Okay. I think that's about right. Okay. So now what we have is when I place this inside and fold it over, is you can see the seam here, okay? But I want to do something a little bit more. Okay, I want to cut a frame for this. So I've got a piece of silver foil. This was the element that I'd already cut for you earlier, but has gone. And I know that as soon as I finish cutting this, it will magically reappear on my desk. Has that happened to you guys before? There we go. So I've got my big circle. Okay, now I can do this one of two ways. I can do it this way that I'm about to show you. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is line my die up inside. Okay, so this is my smaller circle die. I'm just going to attach that using my post-it. Make sure it doesn't move. Okay, and then we run that through. And what we have is our circle, but we also have a frame goes around the outside. So when you're making a frame, you want your smaller circle to be the same size as the opening, and obviously then your bigger circle goes around it. So we've created that cute frame right there, and then we've got a piece left over that we can use on another project at another time. Okay. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is when I do this one, is we're just going to attach our base here to the underneath base. Okay, so you open both cards. Okay, and we're going to put glue on the inside of this layer here. So this is the card that opens the right way round. Okay, and when you do this, it's important, I feel anyway, to use for both pieces to be the same colour, because then the join is not obvious and it looks like it's all one piece. Okay, now before I've put that on, so before you press it down, close your inner piece and then close this piece over the top to make sure that you've got it lined up the way you want. Okay, and then you can press down and score. Okay, so now on the inside it just looks like a regular card, and I'm just going to, I will place a piece here which I'll decorate in a minute. Okay, so next I'm going to attach my portal. I'm trying not to put too much on here because I don't want it to squish out. So this is making a frame like this is useful also if you're doing shaker cards. It finishes things off nicely. Okay, so we've got a little bit of glue there, so just wipe that off. Okie dokie. Okay, so now we're going to come back to our rocket. And I'm just going to colour this with some blends. So we'll grab some orange and some pink. So I'm not going to do anything too fancy with this. So this is my pumpkin pie, the dark one. So you could use, you could watercolor this, you could use regular markers, you could use your Stampin' blends, your any kind of markers or colouring medium you've got would be fine. Okay, and as I say, you could be as fancy as you wanted with this, but I don't want to add too much colour to it, just a little few details. So I'm using the fine tip on my, now you can see that the blend has gone outside the lines a little bit there, but that's not to worry, because we're going to cut this out. Oh, I didn't mean to do that, but now I'm committed. So here we go. Okay, and this is my light melon mambo. So this is to just try and pick up some of the colour in the paper underneath. But again, you could do it whatever you like. And I think I'm going to, let's put a little bit down here. And a little bit at the top. As I say, you can see I'm not adding any shading or anything fancy. I'm simply colouring it in, and then I'm just going to cut it out. So it's a relatively straightforward shape to cut out. As I say, I think this is super little set. I was really pleased when I saw it, but because aside from the cute little sorry, I'm trying to concentrate and talk at the same time, it never really works very well. So apart from the cute images, I mean the sentiments look great anyway, so you could just team them. If you didn't want to use these images because they're a bit cutesy, you could just team them with anything that's got stars on it. If you wanted a slightly more grown-up card, and stars are great for male cards. So again, if you've got that kind of teen, tween, boy card to do, this is a good one. Okay, so there's our rocket, and I think I'm not that happy with the colour of that, so I'm going to add some red. I've just got a bit of Poppy Parade. I don't think it stands out as much as I want it to. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to do Celebrating You is a Blast. And I'm going to heat emboss that, so just put that on the bottom, and I'm going to add some more stars to the front here as well. So normally when I'm doing a project, I like to do all my heat embossing at once, but I just wanted this card to, the placement to come together first before I did that, so I'm doing it in 2 lots. So there we go, and then we'll bring back in our stars. Trying to see now where I've got stars. There we go. Oop. Now, if you wanted to, you could put this paper on the outside as well, but I liked the black. Now, can you see there, I've got a little piece there of embossing powder that I don't want, so I'm just going to take my paintbrush, dry paintbrush, and just get rid of it. There we go. Okay, let's grab our heat tool. It should be warm after the last go. Don't know if you can see that. There we go. Now you could do a joy fold like this that doesn't have an aperture in it, that is just a flap that folds over the front and has got a sentiment on it, and then some, or an image, and then something on the inside. But I really like the idea of creating a little bit of interest in terms of that aperture going over. Okay, so that's cool. And then we'll grab our little sentiment, our little rocket ship here, so I'm going to pop that up and use my black mini dimensional. So I'm just going to put it on the bottom here, because I want it to obviously pop out. Okay, and then I'm just going to grab some of these teeny tiny stars and add some of those. Okay, and then on the inside, I was going to say, there's no one like you in the whole universe. Now, I could heat emboss that, but I'm just going to stamp it in Black Stays On, because I've got like a light spot down here, which will work well. go. Okay, and then we've got our inside piece, and I'm going to say have a stellar birthday, and I'm going to just stamp that again in. It stays on black. Let's see if I can get it straight. There we go. And I'm just going to add a little doggy, because you know, let's see if we can use up pretty much every stamp in the set. That's cool. There we go. So like that, you could do like I did with the rocket, heat emboss, cut them out, and add all sorts of images and create a whole big scene when this opens up if you wanted. And then we'll just add a star. Or a couple of stars maybe. Okay, and then we'll just glue that to the inside center. Now again, you could decorate the whole lot of this if you wanted, but I'm just keeping it simple. Okay, so even if they close it that way, you can still see the inside sentiment. So there you go, that's our first, I've got a bit of, so that's our first joy fold, I guess it's called. Very simple, just two basic card bases attached to each other back to front. Like I said, I've added a little portal onto mine, but you don't need to do that. You could just decorate each, then you just decorate each piece. It's a great way if you've got lots of different sentiments that you want to use, or you've got insides and outsides, or you've got lots of images, so it works really, really well. So let's clear some of this up. As usual, when I've heat embossed, I've got some debris, so excuse me, I'm just going to wipe it down. Okay, so whilst that card was a little bit complicated because of all the elements that I've added to it, it's actually probably the simplest in terms of its construction of all the cards. Okay, so let's make sure I'm keeping up with your comments. Yep, there we go. All right, so that's card number 1. So card number 2 is going to use my absolute number 1 pick of what you must have before the catalogue goes away, and that's the In Bloom stamp set and dies. The dies don't cut out the images, so the two work independently of one another, but they are both discounted. So let me just double check that one. I think that Stellar Birthday is also discounted. So In Bloom, let me just check. It's 30. Here we go. So the stamp set is 50% off. That's £16, and the dies are 40% off, so they're just £20.40. So they're definitely worth investing in. As I say, there's just, the dies have just got so many different sized and shaped flowers and leaves and everything. It's just a lot of fun. So what I have done ahead of time, so you didn't have to watch it all, was I have basically just taken all of the flowers and die cut them in Balmy Blue, Daffodil Delight and Melon Mambo. I've done these little centres in Night of Navy, and then I've just die cut all of the leaves. I've run them through twice. I've die cut all of the leaves twice using Granny Apple Green. So I'm just going to separate these out a little bit first of all. Okay, so again, you can use any colours on these. I've gone for something really bright and cheerful. Excuse me. But, you know, you could do any kind of colour scheme. So, as I say, I'm just separating these out into some neat little piles. Hi, Jewel. Welcome. Good to see you. Hope all's well across the pond. Okay. So, when I finish this card, I'm going to have lots of leftover pieces, and that's fine, because I can just make other cards with them. But when I've got a big die set like this with lots of images that aren't stamped images, this is what I like to do. I like to just cut out lots of them, and then you have them there available to play with. Oh. Alrighty, there we go. So what I have is a Night of Navy card base. So this is a long ways. So this is basically a sheet of A4 cut in half this way rather than cut in half the other way. So this measures 29 centimeters by 10.5 centimeters, and I'm just going to fold it in half. Okay, now you can score it if you want, but I personally don't think that's necessary. Okay, and then I'm just going to bring in my trimmer. Okay. Here we go. And then when I open up my card, what I'm going to do is, this is the back of my card. I'm going to cut a piece off the front of my card. So on my score line, I'm going to place that in my guide. And I'm going to cut down. So I've got, and again, the exact measurement is not important. You can do this to be whatever you want to do. But I want my bottom to be about 3 centimeters. So I'm going to cut down to the 7 centimeter mark on my ruler. Okay, so we'll just cut down like so. Okay, and pop that up. See that? So then what I'm going to do is do it this way. I'm going to place my, I want to do it this way. So now I'm going to place my piece at 7 centimeters and cut from the score line here. Can you see that? Out to the end. Okay, and what that's done is left me with a small piece here at the bottom and a spare piece. Okay, and then we're going to put a piece inside. So that's our flap. So again, you can make that flap as big or as small as you like. You can add more to it if you want. So it's really, really easy to do. So just cut down on your score line as far down as you want your flap to be, and then measure or line it up again, and then put it across there. Okay, so let's bring in our stamp set first of all. We're going to do this piece first. So I'm going to do Happy Birthday, You Really Are the Best. It's just a nice standard sentiment. Okay, and I'm going to stamp that in Night of Navy in the top right hand corner. I'll even try to get it straight. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my scrap paper here. I'm going to do some stamping. Okay, so we're going to use our Balmy Blue, our Melon Mambo, and our Daffodil Delight. Melon Mambo and Daffodil Delight. Okay, so I'm just going to randomly pick some of these flowers. Okay, pop them on my block. And I'll do some little ones as well. Okay, so I'm going to start with my Balmy Blue. Okay, put some spray on spritz on my Stampin' Scrub so I can clean off my stamps. Okay, and then we'll take our, let's open these up. So we'll do, for the next one, we'll do some Melon Mambo. And you can see I'm stamping off the edge slightly. So that was that one. And then we want our third biggish one, which is this one. We'll do that in Daffodil Delight. like so. And then we can take our small images, sort of add those in. I want another blue one down here, and then I want a pink one up here. Okay, and then we've got another one of the little tiny ones. Add a bit of yellow. There we go, and then I'm going to also grab my granny apple green. And we've got some leaves here. I'm going to use this one. I'm just going to fill in a little bit. Like so. Okay, and let's see. I think we could do with a pink just here. And I think we'll put one down here. And a blue one. Let's put a blue one here. There we go, and another pink one over here, and let's do a yellow one. So the trick with one of these is knowing when to stop, and I think now is the moment to stop. Okay, so we have this, and then we'll grab our Night of Navy ink, and we have these which make nice centers. So again, you can use these little pieces for centers as well if you like, but I'm just going to use these little dots. To create pretty centers for our flowers. How's that? I mean, that on its own is a really, really nice card front. Okay, but I'm going to make it even better than that. So let's just close up some of these ink pads before it causes me a mischief. Okay, I'm going to stick that inside our card base. Okay, so as I said, that on its own would make a super, super card front. Okay, but what we're going to do now is we're going to use these die cuts to build a layer at the front. And looking at this, I think I actually want, I might want, will my flowers cover it? Yes, I think I want to build up this strip to be a little bit higher. So I anticipated that I might do that. So what I've got is I've got a strip this is the leftover piece here. Okay, so what I can do now is I can cut a piece that actually covers it all up. So I think I want it that size. You can see that's really, really, really accurate measurements. So that is about 4.5 centimeters. Okay. Okay, so now that covers up most of what we've got going on there. So now I'm just going to start building my arrangement. So a bit like I did with my other piece. I'm just going to grab my chair here. I'm just going to start arranging. So you can just see the variety of flowers shapes and sizes and types that we've got here. It's just fantastic. Okay, and then we've also got some leaves which we can add in. I'm actually going to use these ones because they cover up more of the middle bit. So let's just try and build these across. And pink one under here. And we've got, as I say, we've got different sized leaves that we can use. Smaller one. Okay, so now I'm going to start bringing in some of my smaller pieces and we can start creating some. Now, as I say, I had some navy centers. Okay, and I need a bigger pink one down here. Go, and a slightly larger blue one, I think. But I want a different shape, so let's pop that yellow one up there and this blue one down here. Okay, so I can take this away, and now this is glue dots are a good way to deal with something like this, which is why I've taken the lid off my glue, because I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. Okay, so first of all I'm going to attach my flower, my center to here. And the thing to remember with these is that, you know, unless you're really accurate and true, these will all move and change as you start to actually stick them down. So just bear that in mind, and just be ready to improvise. So that's why when I'm doing something like this, I do like to have lots of different bits and pieces so I can kind of fill in the gaps. So you can see now I've just completely rearranged the whole thing. So I'm putting a couple of glue dots on the back of the big ones. Filling in with my leaves. So one of the things I'm trying to be careful of is that I don't want to go too far along the bottom here. I don't want too much going along this bit because that will affect the way the card stands. So we'll just fill in here with some small ones. Okay, and then you can take these smaller leaves and I've just glued them together, so you can just pop it in there like so, and then we'll take a small yellow. So again, you can just have fun with this, lay the flowers out however you want. If I was doing this again, what I probably would have done, which would have made this easier to create balance, was I probably would have cut a fourth colour. So I tend to find when I do stuff like this, when you're trying to arrange colours to look random, 3 is good, but 4 is better, because what you're trying to do is not have the same colours next to one another or have the same colours repeating. So when you've got 4, it just gives you more options. Okay, fill in some of our leaves. I like this little star-shaped flower. It's kind of cool. And then with these ones, the stems, I'm just going to tear off individual leaves and I can pop them in like so to create filling. And I can also add actual flowers like so. Now I want a pink one down here. What do I have? Let's have this one. That got sticky on it? It does. So I might actually do 2 pink ones. Pop one in here. There we go. I need a bit of some navies. I want a few centers. And again, you could mix these colours up. So, for example, I could take a little pink one or a little blue one here and pop that in the centre of my pink here. Keep going with my navies because I like how that ties it all in together. You could layer up colour on colour, so like this, and then add a piece in the centre like that, or a gem, or whatever you like. So I think that's good. I'm going to add a couple more leaves, I think, just so that it stands up a bit more. You can see I'm just tearing open the bigger stems. Okay, and I see I haven't stuck this one down. And we need something here, and I think I'm going to put a flower there. Let's do one of these because I like this one. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Look at that. So now I'm going to place my glue on the base flap. Then I can just attach it to my card. There we go. And I can see I have a bit of my piece is, my stamping there is showing. So I'm just going to wiggle my green piece so that it doesn't show. So there we go. That's our second fun flap card. Easy peasy. As I say, you can add jewels and what have you if you wanted to that, but that's just, and I think actually what I'm going to do is add a flower just up here. I'm going to use dimensional for this. So just to finish off that corner, okay, and I'm going to take my stem like so. Okay, and we'll glue this bit down. Okay, and we'll pop a little center in it. There we go. It just covers up, or I won't say covers up, but it just fills out that corner a little bit more. It was looking a little bit bare. And I have to be careful now. I might just keep going on this, so I better stop. I'm going to add a little yellow. So we've got the balance of the three colours. Oops. I'll actually bring the glue dot. And there we have it. There we go. That's our second flat fold. I have no idea what that one's called, but you can see now it'll stand nicely. Well, you can't see that. There you go. Because I haven't gone out too far along the bottom, it'll stand nicely. Okay, so that's our second card. And now you can see I've got all of these pieces here left over for another project. Okay, so next up, let's just take some of these off their blocks, is a set that I haven't really had an opportunity to play with, and I am really bummed, I guess is the word, oops, that this bundle is retiring, because again, I think this is a super one for mail cards, and that is the Hats Off bundle. And like that, there's nothing to replace it. I thought it was just such a cool idea. I'm really disappointed that this one's going. So again, this was one of my top picks in terms of make sure you get your hands on this if you can, before it's gone. Okay, so as you can tell from this, probably tell from this, I haven't fully figured out exactly what the color scheme I want to be is. So if you, whilst I'm figuring it out, working it out, just let me know if you want the red, the black, or the yellow as the designer series paper on this. So I've already die cut out for you the baseball cap, and this is, I want to put it up against here. It's just so cool because it creates the stitching and the texture, and you can cut this out of patterned paper or whatever you like. So I've just cut it in black, okay? And I've got a basic black card base. Okay. Lynn says red. Okay, so then we've got an inside piece. I'm just going to trim that down. So I'm using very vanilla on this. So red, okay, red seems to be the consensus, right? So I'm going to trim this down to 10 by 14. I'll be right back. Okay, so that's just going to go on the front like so. Okay, so that's easy. So now I'm going to create, so this is a bit like the first card, but it's a cut down flap. So I've got a very vanilla piece, which is the same width, well, slightly, yes, it's 21 centimeters long, and this one is about 6 centimeters tall. So again, this all depends on the images that you want to include in your card. So I'm just going to fold this in half. Okay. So we have basically this going on. So now that I've seen that, I know that I want this to be cut down a bit. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer. So this is what I suggest when you're doing cards like this. It depends on what your elements are that you want to do or whatever. So I tend to just start with a measurement and then adjust, as you'll have figured out. There we go, and then I've got, so I'm going to create a square here, and then I've got a smaller square here. Okay, there we we go, and then my hat is going to go on here. Okay, so I'm going to create, so this square is 7.5, so I'm going to create another square the same size as it. As I say, all of these measurements will entirely depend on what images and what have you want to use. Okay, so but what I do is make sure that it is the square behind is smaller than the layer in front, so you've got a little bit of space to deal with it if you need to. Okay, then I've also got a scrap here because I want to cut out or stamp a label. So I think I'm going to do where are my dies for this actually? Hang on. Where will I put the dies? Ah, they're in the box. Excellent. So you can stamp the hat as well if you want. And here are the dies. So you can see there's quite a few images here. There's even little baseball caps. But these cut out the sentiments. So I'm going to use this one. And that does the stitching. So that puts the sentiment on here like so. Okay, so I'm going to do... I'm just going to do the sunshine one. And I'm actually going to stamp it on yellow. There's a bit of Daffodil Delight, so I'm going to stamp it on there in Stays On to get a nice sharp black image. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my mini boss machine here. And quickly die cut this out. So take the scissors, just trim this a bit. Okay, so we can pop that on there. Okay, run it through. Put the handle on the side of the machine that I'm on. Always a good tip. Okay, there we go, and then we can take our other piece here and run it back through, and that will add some stitching to our patch. Okay, can you see that? Alright, so then we can attach that to our card. I'm just going to use some glue for that. And they've actually got a little gap here for you. So just line that up how I like. How cool is that? That's just super. There we go. And then I'm going to use my black dimensionals on the back here, if I can find them. There we go. I'm going to put quite a few, and then I've got my square here. This would be cool like that. If you've got a sports fan or a football fan or something, you could do this hat up in their team's colours, which would be really cool. Okay, so I'm going to glue that onto my black layer. So we've got our element. There we go. Okay, then on this piece we're going to stamp our sentiment, and for that, I think I'm going to do it as another happy birthday. So I've got happiest of birthdays, which is another one that is retiring, which I'm not happy about. This is another one where I've said make sure you get this one because it is just a great set, especially the really big, and I have the happy little bit late birthday. So will this fit on there? Yes. I'm going to pop that, I'm going to do that on this bit because I've just had an idea. Okay, so let's bring back in our stays on. Okay, and I'm going to where is it? What am I looking for here? We've got the little star, and we've got our, I'm going to take my red, that's my real red, there we go. And here in the dies we have a little hat. So I'm going to cut that out. I'm just going to grab a scrap of red. Hang on. That's what I want. And I'm just going to cut out this little teeny weeny hat. Using my mini boss again. This is Poppy Parade. It matches the red that's in the paper. Okay, I'll glue that down. So I could see a really cool card would be just a whole line, like a row of little baseball caps. Here we are. Okay, and then on the inside, so this is our inside layer, is very vanilla. I wanted to do a big one, so hang on. We've got the sweet ice cream, so we've got a big happy birthday. This one is also retiring, and one of my recommendations to absolutely get your hands on because it is a super set. So like that, even if you're not that keen on the ice cream bits, the sentiments are super. That didn't work. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay, and let's go back to the stamp set, which is here somewhere. And we've got You're the Best. I'll stamp that in real red. You can see how similar these fonts are. There we go, and then we'll add a couple of stars. Go. All right, so we've got all of that now. It's time to assemble. Okay, so let's bring back in our pieces. All right, oops, I've gotten a piece on there, but that's okay. So the first thing I want to do is I want to attach my flap. Okay, so what I've done is I've got ink on me somewhere, red ink. Is that it there? Hopefully it doesn't get everywhere. Okay, so I'm not too bothered because this is going to cover this up like so. Okay, so what I do is I line it up at the front, okay, then turn it over, okay, and then I'm going to glue it down directly to the card base. Okay, so we just close our card like so. Okay, so now it's attached to the inside. Okay, and then I'm just going to take my inside layer and glue that over the top. Like so. Now, if you wanted to, you could cut this flap from the same color as your base, or you could make this piece wider so that you don't see the edges. It's entirely up to you. Okay, and then what I can do is I can attach my piece here. So I'm just going to put my glue on my flap. And center my piece. Again, this could be a circle, a square, whatever shape you want. Okay, and then I'm just going to take this piece and just, this is where wet glue will be your friend. So because I've cut it a bit smaller, so I can see roughly where I want it to go. So I'm just going to place my finger there, place it down and center it, and then just double check my positioning. There we go, that it's not showing. And there we go. So again, if you wanted to be really tidy, you could place another piece at the back here, but I really want to just show you the main mechanics of it. So there we have it. We've got 3 fun flap cards for you. So if I bring them back in, I'll show you. And now it's that time of the evening. It's time to vote. And if you can think of the name of some of these, then do let me know. So we've got the first one, which is a full joyfold card using the Stellar Birthday stamp set, which is retiring. The second one was just a front flap using the In Bloom and Perennial dies that are also retiring. You have to get a hold of these. And then the third one, I've no idea what this one's called. Front flap, I don't know. And that's using the Hats Off bundle, which is retiring, the Happiest of Birthday stamp set, which is retiring, and the Sweet Ice Cream stamp set, which is also retiring. So these are all products that are retiring from the annual catalogue. So let me know what you think. Is it card number 1, 2 and 3? They all look very, very different, don't they? So Diane says 1, 3, 2. Cool. Lynn says 1, 3, 2. I think. It's not always easy for you, is it? So there we have it. As I said, I will create a new host code and post it in here as soon as this live is done, so that if you want to order any of these, then use that host code and I'll send you an extra special thank you. Oh, got hearts. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight. It's been a pleasure as always. I hope you've enjoyed our fun flap cards. Dum -de -dum, dum -de -dum. And I will see you all again next week. Bye.